Am I still upside down?
Yes.
Oh God.
More ways than one, Gretchen.
I'll
I
just,
can't. I can't help it. It's just it's just so metaphorical. Like I'm not saying you're upside down, but we could play.
well, I'm going off video because I've pushed every button here and I can't fix it.
We are live. We are live streaming and waiting for one more commissioner to join. Does anyone have Carla's number? Can shoot a text or
I'm sending her one now. I sent to Cora as well. Anyone else I should send it to?
I mean, anybody, right?
Who else?
someone?
There's someone that's joining the other one. Let's see who that is.
I can join on. Hold on. Hey Maggie,
Oh, wonderful. Hi.
can you join the Zoom, please?
Hello, Demetrius.
Hello, how's everybody doing today?
Good, good.
Just added Cora. She should be joining momentarily.
Good.
And Maggie is about to join too.
And Reggie, you're gonna call me once y'all finish, once y'all close up, right?
What is the process? To whom should I text that we're finished?
No, I mean you'll hit Chris up, and once y'all are finished, you'll give me a ring.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yep. That's always.
And also, yeah, you shoot me a text when you guys are done with your executive session, and then I will bring you out of it. But Maggie is joining now as a panelist.
So we have a quorum. I'm going to go on and.
And
Yep.
Cora's here, so we're ready to
Yep.
go. Let's do it.
Yep. So the meeting will come to order. The time is now 1:10 on Monday, April 21st. That's not true. Today is not Monday, April 21st. What is today? Today is Tuesday,
May
May
13th.
13th. This is an executive committee meeting of the District of Columbia Commission on the Arts and Humanities. My name is Reggie Van Lee, chairperson of the commission. I'll now call the roll. When you hear your name, please answer present. As I find my roll call. Julianne,
Present.
Gretchen,
Present.
Hector, Kimber, Carla, Cicely, Demetrius,
Present.
Janice, Cora,
Yes, present.
Maggie.
Present.
A quorum is present. This is a meeting of a public body held in open session and is governed by the Open Meetings Act as permitted under DC Code 2-575, B, closed paren. This body may enter into a closed session. Please address any questions or complaints arising under this meeting to the Office of Open Government at opengovoffice@dc.gov. Notice of the meeting was posted in the DC Register, on the Commission's website, dcarts.dc.gov, and on the DC Office of Open Government Central Meetings calendar at open-dc.gov. The meeting is being conducted in a virtual format with commissioners joining remotely using the Zoom meeting platform. The meeting is being live streamed to the Commission's YouTube channel. An electronic recording of the meeting will be available for viewing online following the conclusion of the meeting. I'll now read the land acknowledgement. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. And I'm turning the page. We stand on the ancestral lands of the CAH Tank and the Piscataway people. We pay respects to their elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events and to use such truths to guide the legacy of this Arts Commission. Is there any objection to the agenda that was previously circulated? Hearing no objection, the agenda stands as adopted. Good afternoon and welcome to everyone. We have an interesting meeting this afternoon with reports regarding our key priorities, which are an update on our OIG report and legislation, plans to create a committee on economic development, updates on Art Week DC, and a discussion around NEA funding. Let's start with an update on the key priorities, the OIG report. Aaron?
Thank you, Reggie. The report shows the implementation of parts of our strategic plan, creating the IDEA committee and implementing a set of award amounts for our fellowship grant that resulted in significant impact with a 48% increase in awardees from FY24 through to FY20, FY21, FY23 to FY24. My apologies. There were 6 items that we needed to address from the OIG report. These items are CAH awarded grants to organizations and individuals using incomplete grant applications. A Public Art Building Communities Award did not fully conform to standards. CAH should improve staff conflict of interest training practices. CAH provided grants to individuals not based in DC. CAH can improve oversight activities for the fellowship grant, and CAH can reduce organizational risk by improving continuity of operations and succession planning. 4 of these matters have been resolved. The recommendation to modify our 50-mile radius policy was raised. This policy is longstanding, as it was created in 2008 to fund a minority of artists who are being pushed outside of the district's bounds due to the financial crisis. We saw the benefit of this rise again in 2020 during the pandemic. Being that the statute speaks to the work being based in DC and does not restrict the opportunities to only residents, our general counsel agrees that CAH's interpretation of the statute is correct and the policy can stand as is. As it pertains to the fellowship grant, we're working to establish and document procedures to monitor and track grantees' artistic work as stated in the grant agreement and RFA. I did send over to all of the commissioners talking points regarding the OIG report, as well as I've met with several commissioners as well, one-on-one to answer questions. I think overall, for an organization or an agency that has not been audited in excess of 12 years, we fared very well in this particular report. So I think that with the items that had been resolved, I'd like to note that those things were resolved before the report was published, which is important. As far as our art bank policy, we've searched for the provenance because we realized that the provenance of it it was before anyone who's working here came on board outside of Ms. Parker, and she was not in that department. So therefore, we were able to understand the provenance. It does make sense, and we are in our legal right to do so. And the suggestion that was made from the OIG when they met with us before Thanksgiving, I think it prompted the conversation we had in our grants revamp meeting regarding the fellowship grant. And I know that we are very open to creating a pathway for our fellowship grantees to inform us of how these grant dollars not only is impacting them, but what art are they creating because they're able to receive this particular grant. I know Commissioner Brenza and I spoke, and there's a way that when receiving this data, we can utilize it in a very good way as far as reporting, and I think it would resonate more so even with the council so they can understand more so how important this particular grant is. If there are any questions about that, I'm willing to answer. You are muted, Reggie.
Sorry about that. I was saying this is an important topic, so I want to make sure the commissioners understand what the OIG report said, understand our conclusion that 4 of the 6 already were acted on by the time the report was produced, and the other 2, one of which we feel we are justified in doing it the way we've done it, because it's in the spirit of let's not penalize organizations that had to move out of the district for financial reasons, but still serve the district. That's the important thing, that they serve the district. And so that was the conclusion we came to, and our attorneys say that we are justified in holding on to that. And then the fellowship grant point we are addressing in the way that we think makes the most sense. So I wanted people to understand that, because as we walk around, people will come up to us. And unfortunately, there was an article written that said, the headline said, the Arts Commission violates something, something. So that was rather inflammatory. If you read the rest of the article, it basically says everything is fine. But if you just read the headline, it can send a different message. So at a minimum, I wanted us to be aware of what the report said, what our response has been, and if indeed any of us are concerned that those responses aren't appropriate, that we need to think about it differently, I want to have a forum in which commissioners could talk about that. So with that sort of intro, Julianne?
I would like to clearly speak that I think it is imperative that the agency, and I've spoken with Aaron about this, with the 50-mile radius thing, go into that budget oversight hearing with clear examples that have a visual of the art created and the story of the artist who created it. The most important thing that we can communicate is the humans that we are serving, and we need to do that with this rule. Additionally, with the artist fellowship program, we need to be able to use storytelling to show the economic vitality of these artists that are being funded, and not just state that we have a strategy that will be developed. It is critical that the agency put the effort behind this to ensure that the budget oversight hearing has that storytelling aspect to it.
I
I
also
agree.
think we should include the ward, the location of the art.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And we've had those conversations that it's one thing to assert something and qualitatively talk about how good it is. It's another thing to follow that up with the data. And so we understand specifically what has happened. And so I'm glad you added that, Julian, but that's certainly our intent as well. To never just respond with qualitative things when when we can give examples of the impact. Other questions, concerns, comments on the OIG report and our response? Well, thank you. So Aaron, why do we now go to the Economic Development Committee that we are planning to create?
Yes, thank you. So the Committee on Economic Development was a byproduct of two things. A response to the needs of grantees who've expressed data support and assistance in finding space and being more connected to businesses within the private sector. And B, a conversation with fellow state art agencies that fall within our Mid-Atlantic footprint who would like to share, examine regional approaches to supporting the creative economy. This committee would strategize around obtaining data and research, working alongside other state art agencies and making determinations about sector needs. How do we work as a region to fully develop the arts sector? We met with Chairman Mendelson and DIMPED, both of whom are fully supportive. For a bit of context, for the last two budget oversight and performance oversight hearings, we've heard organizations and individuals of all sizes across the spectrum who are looking for economic development support or understanding, guidance, wanting to be a help. They bring several suggestions, even at our commission meetings. People have brought excellent suggestions to us. We don't have a space to couch them directly so that we only focus on some of these ideas. In like manner, when we met with our fellow executive directors of state art agencies in the Mid-Atlantic region, given the current posture, the state of things, all of us realized that we needed to be able to focus not only on the creative economy or a creative economy strategy, not just for our states or municipalities, but as a region. I think Reg has stated before, there's some things that we can ask for as a collective that we may get greater response from versus as one try to go it alone. So this committee would be couched in being able to look at that data. The last creative economy strategy was done by Mayor Gray in 2011. The commission serves as a part of that strategy. So this committee would serve to be able to develop, flesh out, and see how we could build upon it.
The other thing I'll add is, in truth, many of our grants are going towards economic development. We are indeed financially supporting things within the downtown area, et cetera, et cetera. But it wasn't explicitly planned for that. So this committee will allow us to continue to do those things we're doing, but additionally do more proactive, perhaps more aggressive, more explicit things towards economic development. So it's a continuation, an important continuation or extension of what we've been doing before. But I don't want people to be mistaken that we've been doing nothing in that space. But there's certainly more that we can and want to do. Questions, comments, reactions? Julianne?
I got something to say here. So I am trying to, one of the things that the governance committee is working on before, which we'll have a meeting in June, is to review a little bit of the bylaw stuff. And one of the things I wanted to look at is how committees, these special committees are actually created. And if it's actually proper to have them come from a staff perspective versus a commissioner perspective. And then also to ensure that these committees that we're starting actually have members, so that we're not doing just like initiatives that have no members that are actually having the voices of the wards that they are serving in that special committee. So what I would like to propose is that as we work up to the June meeting, that we come up with what this committee is, what the structure is, who is leading it, what is the description is, and who the members are, to ensure that it's an actual functioning committee and not just sort of like a placeholder to dump stuff. Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Would you be, and I'll look at this as well to ensure, I know that I, as ex officio commissioner, although I don't vote, serve in that capacity, see if that helps at all with doing some of that, to see if that makes any sense. And I think with special committees, it can involve members of the community as well.
Yes, it can.
Right. So
And one
just
of the
want to,
things
I'm
that
keeping
I
that
was
in mind.
one of the things I was talking to Gretchen about yesterday too was just making sure that the committees actually have staff support, and that that's actually a kind of confirmed in our language, so that when we start things, that it's not like a commissioner could go rogue and like, I don't know. I don't want to come up with the pretend scenario right now in a public meeting, but you know what I mean.
Mhm. Well, actually, I was going to ask if you would take it on in the context of the governance committee to help us in shaping, chartering, missioning, populating this committee. So that's in line with all the other committees that we have, and all the appropriate support from the staff is there, et cetera.
Let's continue that conversation
Okay,
and have that at the governance committee in June. Okay.
great, great. Hector, are you raising your hand? You're muted.
Okay, if I may suggest something, there are some natural organizations within the structure of our city that could probably lend a great support to this particular committee of development. That would be the bids, the actual bids on each ward could be invited proactively so, because if there's anyone that is engaged in the issue of development throughout the city, is them. And we should make an effort at really soliciting their participation, because not only can they actually participate in the process, but they could also offer alternatives and solutions to some of the many questions that we have in supporting the arts economy, such as how to find space, how to leverage with companies that within their bids. So how can they help us? And not only just a matter of saying, okay, welcome, but these are areas that we could find that you could help us. So let's set a plan even before, so that they know what function they're going to play. And then from there they could add, of course.
Good, agreed. Other reactions, comments, questions? Thank you. Let's go to Art Week DC, Aaron.
The commission now has a product, and product being the strat plan that includes an implementation plan. So we are now in a posture to procure a consultant. The consultant's role will be to socialize the plan with stakeholders within the private sector. The private sector will be mobilizing to make this plan a reality, and we need to understand how the agency can be supportive to this end. So in the strategic plan that was provided, it did show that there would be an Art Week DC foundation, nonprofit of some sort that would have to take the lead on this, and it would not be led directly or implicitly by DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. So being able to socialize that with interested parties within the community would be the ownership of this particular consultant. And so that's where we are with that. We did submit to the Office of the City Administrator our spend plan for the rest of the year, which did include Art Week. I believe at 135,000 toward this year, putting it toward something, and we were approved. So we now can move forward to see what that would look like.
And let me just add a couple of clarifications because we've gone through a whole lot in this space. We have a great plan that Michael Kaiser and the DeVos Institute put together as the strategic plan for Art Week DC and an implementation piece of it. And there it is. It's a great plan. If
It
we can
would
get
be
caught,
so great if you could share this plan with
you're ahead of me. We will share this plan with all the commissioners. But also part of the process is we may have reactions. We may want to revise it. I mean, this is the consultant's recommendations. This is not necessarily the Bible yet. So this consultant that we want to hire now will help us with those conversations, go to all the stakeholders, each of the commissioners, all the various people that have been a part of it, and turn this into the final plan with all the revisions that reflect what we want the final plan to do. So that's going to happen there. We haven't gotten to anyone yet because we didn't have the resource to do that. And with this consultant, which we budgeted for, we can do that. Also, it's clear that where we are in this year, the chairman's desire was to launch a soft launch of Art Week DC in 2025, and it's not going to happen. It's going to have to be 2026 because we got to do a quality product. We can't do a rush product. And even 2026 may be a soft launch as opposed to 2027 being a stronger launch. But this is part of what the consultant will help us with as well. Because until we have the infrastructure to run Art Week DC, the board, the staff, the ED, and all that sort of stuff, we can't really do it. And the commission can't do that. And the commission should not do that. The vision for a potential role of the commission is to work with artists to prepare them for a fair like this, to help them with the business of the arts, to help them with how do they have conversations with collectors and gallerists, to help them with how do they price their work, all the stuff to get them fully up to snuff so that they can really take advantage of an event like Art Week DC. That is something the commission could do because it's not dissimilar from what we're doing now. But even that has to be worked through and discussed and decided upon. But I want to send the clear message because we know some of our staff have been very concerned that they're very busy with all the stuff they're doing now, and they could not see how they could take on an Art Week DC and run it. And we're saying that was not the intention. That won't be the way that we'll do it. But we will figure out what would be the appropriate role for the commission to handle in the ecosystem of this Art Week DC. So that's sort of where we are overall in the process. Questions, comments?
So the budget of 135,000 for this year, could that be used to perhaps enhance some of the existing work to educate artists about how to price them, their work? So instead of adding more work to what the staff is doing, just kind of amplify what they're doing.
It could be. Yeah, the good news is we have a draft of the statement of work for the consultant, but that's not been finalized. So Aaron, I think we should take into consideration within that budget that we have, is there room not only for how do we turn the planned recommendations into a final plan by talking to stakeholders and all that sort of stuff, but how might we help CAH figure out what their role will be and to do some of that even now. The work that they want to, the work that I think we want to do to get artists prepared for something like this is work that should be done anyway, even if we didn't have Art Week DC. So I think what Carla's saying is perhaps even this year, our real foray into Art Week DC is the Arts Commission helping prepare artists even this year and not just wait for next year. So I'm glad you raised that point, Carla. So we will see what the budget can endure and try to do a statement of work with the consultant to cover as much as we can cover.
Okay.
Hector, I think you had your hand up.
Yes, I did. What I'm concerned about is, since I haven't seen the report, I don't know what it includes, but there has been an existing structure that has actually put together art night, and work, and that has been
That is covered in the report.
okay.
We
Good.
recognize all the things that are happening. And once again, the intention was never to usurp or replace or anything the Art Week DC is. We think that Art All Night, I'm sorry. We think Art All Night and Art Week DC can work together.
Actually, yes.
But keep us honest once you read the report and as the consultant comes and talks to you about it to make sure we are taking advantage of existing forms already.
And you said,
I understand and I get that. However, my question is, why not get those existing organizations or participants who put a lot of sweat and equity into Art Night into the fold so that they are part of the solution, that they're not later informed that, yes, participate, so that actually from the conceptual, how do we create this new event? They are part of it, and therefore they could contribute effectively into it because they have been doing it traditionally in very good ways. So, it's like, we don't want to get well, we got the consultant, now we're going to let you in. No, I mean, from incept, let them know that this is the plan so they could participate in the process, unless it's taking place already.
But
Brianna, yeah.
that's exactly the work of the consultant. The consultant is
Okay.
going to go around to all the stakeholders. And because right now, the plan may have recognized that Art or Not exists, but it wasn't really engaged with them. Now we wanted that consultant to take this plan and socialize it and work with those other entities to say, how do we make sure we come up with a full united plan? This is exactly the work that
Yeah.
needs to be done.
I just
The other-
want to
the
I just
other-
want to
wait a minute,
remind
the other-
everybody
the
that
other-
this is a public meeting and that there's a lot of strife in the community right now. And maybe we can table this discussion until all commissioners actually have been able to review the report and we sort of move forward with what may be able to happen with Art Week DC. I just think this is a really tough time in the arts community right now. So I'd like to kind of move on in the agenda if that's possible.
But I think this is all very positive.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm missing the point, but I'm not sure why an artist would have strife over the fact that we want to engage all the stakeholders. And we're going to, instead of just taking Michael Kaiser's report and say, this is the answer, we're now going to invest in a consultant going around and socializing it with everybody. So I hope that's a good addition. And Hector, I think what you're talking about is exactly what we want the consultant to do.
Well,
Was there
I'd like to
another?
know,
Thank
I'd
you.
like to know from Julianne, what do you mean by strife?
I just mean that I don't know. I there's just a lot with funding things going on right now. I mean, the next thing on our agenda is the NEA funding discussion. That it seems, I don't know. Am I just off in my own universe where it seems like it's pretty challenging right now in the arts?
Well, that's not my question. My question was specifically, he's talking about art DC, art all night, and and you're saying table that because there's strife in the art community. So you mean
I'm saying if we could table it until as commissioners, we've been able to actually see this report so that instead of it being socialized with other people, it can be socialized with us. And we can actually have a conversation after we've been able to review Michael Kaiser's, because otherwise we're just like spitballing. We're saying like, why
wait a
can't
minute. We
this
don't have
work
the
with
report.
our
We haven't
No,
seen
no.
the report's not available to the commission?
it is.
Have,
and
have,
they're
have
gonna
any
send it to
commissioners
us.
reviewed
I
it?
haven't received it yet.
It is
No, it
available.
hasn't.
It is available to
It's
the
available.
commission.
And for those who came to the meeting, when Michael Kaiser presented it,
Yeah.
their report was available then, and the report has been available since. But again, people read what they read, and therefore this consultant's job is to work with all of us and make sure we've had time to fully consume the findings and react to it in the appropriate way. So there's nothing that's been held from the commissioners. And at any point, anyone could have asked, can they see the report? We had a huge meeting at Gallup where we presented this. The document has been available, but so that we
Reggie,
make sure that
Reggie, where's the document now? So that whoever wants to access it can access it.
We can, matter of fact, I can make sure all the commissioners have it. We can send it
Yeah.
to all the
Perfect.
commissioners.
we
All
didn't
right.
want to put it. We didn't want to put it on the website because it's
No, I
not ready for
understand
that,
that.
right?
I know
But
that.
but I'll ask Aaron to send electronic version around to everyone.
Yeah.
But
All right,
still, I
that's not
think,
my problem.
I still think the work of the consultant is to work with us to really make sure we've had the time to really go through it and go from that version to a final version that reflects all sorts of stakeholders, including the commissioners. I'm sorry, Cora.
No, I said that solves the problem. Once we do that, then we can do what you just said.
Right, right. O- Other questions or concerns? I'm glad we have so much energy around Art Week DC. I love it. I love it. So now, since we have energy, let's go into NEIA funding discussion. Aaron?
Yes, we realize that there are entities in DC who have received notice of grant funding termination or elimination. So if there are any grantees who have heard this response, we encourage you to appeal, and there's a mechanism for you to be able to do that. It should have been sent to you when you got the notice. Moreover, we have reached out to Mid-Atlantic and also NASA, that's the National Assembly of State Art Agencies, for a full list of impacted grantees. However, in the interim, we have reached out to our grantees to determine how the NEA's posture has impacted them, and we are digesting those responses presently. As far as the state partnerships with the NEA, those have not been impacted at all. So our funding from the NEA, we've not received any indication or any insight that that funding is going away, at least for this fiscal year. And the vote happened, and it's not for the next fiscal year either. So outside of that, our personally, CAH's NEA funding has not been impacted quite yet.
And this is
We
so that we
received,
have an official posture on what NEI funding is done. At this moment, it's not impacted us.
yes,
I'm sure it will at some point, but I
right,
don't fight ghosts.
right, right,
And we'll respond immediately once we know what the deal is, but at this moment, it's not impacted us.
right. And just to be clear, the first thing I did when I spoke with Marianne, and we've reached out both to NASA and Mid Atlantic. We've wanted to have a comprehensive list so that we can reach out to grantees. Being that we have not gotten that list, the NEA had not shared that list yet. We've just been proactive. I did speak with Commissioner Brienza again. Our public art team and also our grant team, they designated some of the grant managers to reach out to cohorts individually to get feedback. We've gotten some feedback. It's really important to know that some of the ad hoc lists are somewhat skewed. Some of the questions, asking, well, has your funding been eliminated? And we must really understand the difference between funding that was granted and awarded for this fiscal year. You had not used the funds yet. However, you budgeted for them, but you will not get them at all. That's one. The next part is there's a grant that you traditionally apply for that no longer will be available next year or what have you. So I think that list has been a combination of both, kind of threw some things off to a degree. However, we're reaching out, we're engaging, and we're also engaging our fellow agency partners around this as well.
So questions, comments? It's one of those we don't know, right? So I'm
Yes,
sorry,
Hector?
Hector.
Yeah, there are certain specific programs that I think we work with, like with the NEA, namely Poetry Out Loud, which is obviously near and dear to a lot of us. Have we found out anything on specific programs that we work with already that are dependent on NEA? Because this covered a wide net as a program because it was national in scope.
So, for instance, say if the NEA no longer worked with put on Poetry Out Loud, we would see that reflection in the budget that would be sent over to us. So, as of now, of the $977,000 through that contract, nothing's been changed. As of now.
Okay. So right now we're operating as if the program is going to be funded.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I would not even
Yeah.
suggest, I would ask that the staff think about a plan B, that if indeed all that funding were cut, what would we do? Just so that I'm not trying to make it happen, I'm not trying to manifest it, but you have to be planful and thoughtful. So what would
Absolutely.
we do if it happens, we can move on a dime then, as opposed to then trying to figure out what happens next. So I'm
Absolutely.
glad that nothing's happened yet, but we should plan for that eventuality.
Absolutely.
Like that, yes. Thank
Other
you.
questions or comments? Before we go to executive session, any other topics that we want to have in open forum from anyone? If not, Chris, if you could send us into a breakout room for executive session, and once we're finished, I'll text you, Chris, and you can bring us back just for me to close out the meeting.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm going to invite you all to a breakout room titled Executive Session, and you'll have to join that breakout room, and then you all will be placed in executive session.
And thank you to all the ones on the open meeting that joined us, and we will come back briefly to close out the meeting after we finish with executive session. Thank you. Hector, were you saying something? You're muted. You're muted, Hector.
The link for that executive session,
No,
is
no,
it going to be in the chat?
it'll come up on it'll come up on your screen. You just have to go
Okay.
into it. Yeah.
Okay,
It's a breakout room. It's not a separate thing.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Else?
That looks like everyone is in. For everyone who is following us online, the commissioners are in executive session, and we will come back when they're out of executive session. Patrick, can you make a note on the live stream, please?
Sure.
So if Cora logs back on to the main link, she should be able to get back into the.
Yes, you should be able to get back in.
Cora? Okay.
I got you. Thank
Welcome
you.
back.
Thank you, thank you. So, there being no further business, the next meeting of the Executive Committee will be held on Wednesday, July 16, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. The time is now 2:16 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.